Coming up next on Making Moves, find out how JTA's plans for autonomous vehicles extend far beyond the Skyway.
I'm Eugene Lindsay along busy San Pablo Road, where this kind of heavy traffic has become quite the norm. Coming up, I'll tell you how the JTA and the Florida Department of Transportation have developed plans to ease congestion along San Pablo from one end to the other.
We'll unveil what national burger chain is partnering with JTA to sponsor the Game Day Express. And the feds give JTA nearly $17 million to extend the First Coast Flyer. We'll tell you to where. I'm Donna Deegan. These stories and more right now on Making Moves. Hello and welcome to another edition of Making Moves. I'm Donna Deegan. In today's show, we'll tell you how JTA has been preparing for hurricane season, find out what national burger chain has signed on to be the new Game Day Express sponsor. Another Jacksonville roadway is about to get a JTA makeover. We'll tell you which one and when the construction will start. But we begin today with JTA's autonomous vehicle program. You're probably aware by now that JTA is planning to replace the Skyway with autonomous vehicles, extend the track to ground level, and run at least 15 vehicles on Bay Street. But as Making Moves chief correspondent Bill Milnes explains, the authority has its sights set on areas far beyond downtown.
30 years ago, the Skyway opened to cheers and hopes of expansion into nearby neighborhoods. Now, with the Skyway's end in sight and with autonomous vehicles as its long-term replacement, JTA is already working on its expansion plans. The autonomous vehicle program is called the Ultimate Urban Circulator, or U2C for short. It's a three-part plan that begins in downtown, on Bay Street, and expands into Riverside, Springfield, Brooklyn, the sports complex, and beyond. But it all starts with the Bay Street Innovation Corridor, which is being funded through a $12.5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. The project will feature as many as 15 autonomous vehicles running on Bay Street between the sports complex and Hogan Street. But JTA wants to run AVs at both ground level and on the Skyway's elevated platform. And that's where Phase 2 of JTA's plan, Autonomous Avenue, comes in. Autonomous Avenue is an elevated test track that will run between Jefferson Station and the new Regional Transportation Center at La Villa.
We will remove the center guide rail, essentially creating a roadway at elevation that can be used with autonomous vehicles.
Bernard Schmidt is leading the autonomous vehicle effort for JTA. He says the Autonomous Avenue project will be a proof of concept that will allow the JTA to then retrofit the entire Skyway infrastructure to accommodate autonomous vehicles and expand the current system from a 2.5-mile elevated track to a full 10-mile transit network, both elevated and at grade. The new AV network would expand the Bay Street project all the way down Bay Street to the new Transportation Center and into all the locations the Skyway was originally planned to go, but never did. But that's not all. Part 3 of the U2C initiative, something called Agile Plans, takes the autonomous vehicles far beyond downtown and the Skyway infrastructure. JTA is working on plans to put AVs all over Jacksonville.
We've actually mapped out about 22 other locations where we can do small circulators, essentially leverage exactly what we're doing on Bay Street and here on the test track and on Autonomous Avenue, but at different locations throughout Jacksonville.
JTA is considering more than 20 locations to run the AVs far beyond the downtown core, places like the beaches, hospitals, and local colleges and universities.
We've had a lot of interest in different projects. We've had local universities that are very interested in what we're doing and how to put a circulator on their campus. We are certainly in dialogue and in conversations with places like Mayo Clinic and the beaches. And so we will continue to leave options open.
As for when all of these projects will come together, Schmidt says right now only the Bay Street project is funded, and the target is within 3 to 5 years. The authority has been actively seeking funding for Autonomous Avenue. As for its Agile Plans project, he says the focus is on developing a public-private partnership to make that work. And while a lot of cities are interested in going autonomous and some are doing testing, Schmidt says the Jacksonville project is unique in one critical way that could change the entire landscape of the AV world.
There are a lot of pilots and demonstrations throughout the United States, but the Autonomous Avenue portion is the only project that I'm aware of in the United States where we are proposing converting a monorail automated people mover system to be used with autonomous vehicle. Our ability to do that, and if we are successful, I think we'll make a big statement for the US DOT to look at that and to leverage that and a bunch of other cities that have similar systems that are in various states of good repair. So that is an incredible feat and project to do, because it represents a big deal for what can potentially happen in these other cities.
In downtown, Bill Milnes, JTA Making Moves.
With Gervin Road finished and construction on Kernan Boulevard and Collins Road in full swing, JTA is now preparing to expand another key Jacksonville roadway as part of its MobilityWorks program. Making Moves correspondent Eugene Lindsay has more on the upcoming San Pablo Road project and how JTA and FDOT are coordinating two projects at different ends of the roadway.
This is all just part of the daily routine for the thousands of people who live and commute along San Pablo Road on Jacksonville's southeast side of town. Oftentimes bumper-to-bumper traffic, and for homeowners who live in the area, waiting for just the right time to turn into their subdivision. But relief will soon be on the way. It's the next road improvement project for the JTA's MobilityWorks program.
What we're looking at is changing the roadway profile, raised median, going from a 2-lane roadway to a 3-lane urban divided roadway section.
The nearly 1.5-mile-long road project will stretch along San Pablo Road from Atlantic Boulevard to Beach Boulevard. In addition to a dedicated center turn lane and raised medians, the improvements will also include more sidewalks and several marked crosswalks with rotating flashing beacons for pedestrian safety. JTA officials tell me the number of vehicles along this stretch of San Pablo has become so heavy that they rate it nearly an F on their grading scale, meaning that this area really is not able to handle any additional motorists.
When we did the studies in 2018, what we found was that on a given day, there are more than 21,000 cars that travel along San Pablo Road, either in the northbound and southbound direction. And depending on the time of day, you can have as many as 1,000 cars per hour traveling on a certain side of the roadway.
Williams says that once these road improvements are in place, traffic congestion will ease significantly and pedestrians will have a much safer experience along San Pablo Road.
We should, in the end, see ease for residents getting in and out of their relative or prospective subdivisions. Also, you should see a safer roadway where we have sidewalks conducive for walking or for children going to and from school.
And while the JTA is busy with San Pablo Road improvements on the north end, the Florida Department of Transportation will also be busy here at the far south end at JTB, constructing what is being called a diverging diamond interchange. It's designed to take commuters going onto the Mayo Clinic campus faster and with less congestion. This new diverging diamond interchange will take motorists on the opposite side of the road briefly, then back to the right side of the road at the interchange. Despite this, FDOT says the interchange is safer. It's designed to get you through the area faster by eliminating left-hand turns that slow you down. Williams says that working in tandem on a road project with an outside agency certainly can be beneficial.
There are synergies that are developed when we know that there's work going on in one area. We can partner with our other entities to make sure that the end product is conducive for the community.
In Jacksonville, Eugene Lindsay, JTA Making Moves.
On our last show, we told you about how JTA, FDOT, and the city are working on a plan to eliminate the problem of stopped trains in San Marco. In part 2 of her report, Making Moves correspondent Karen Adams tells us how new City Councilwoman Leanna Cumber is also hoping to tackle the sound issue that comes with the train traffic, a problem all too familiar to San Marco residents.
Jacksonville was recently approved for a $35 million project to help alleviate the congestion and wait time at the railroad crossings in San Marco and downtown, waits that can reach 3 hours or more. The $35 million project is being funded by multiple agencies at the federal, state, and local level, including JTA. The project creates a pocket track, which will serve as a holding area for trains to wait, instead of sitting in the middle of San Marco and downtown Jacksonville. That will help solve the wait time when motorists are stuck in traffic at the tracks. But for some residents, the delays are only part of the problem. Their goal is to also get peace and quiet in the neighborhood by creating a quiet zone. Cover your ears. It's loud, long, and downright annoying. San Marco residents call it noise pollution, the seemingly constant blowing of the horns on trains that run through the area.
It is definitely noise pollution, and it affects our health because it wakes us up in the middle of the night. And it can affect our hearing. There are lots of studies that show the detrimental effects of noise pollution. But it just interrupts life.
Lila Ross has lived in San Marco for the last 40 years. When she first moved here, she says the trains were livable. They came through only a half a dozen times a day. But now they come through 30 times a day, morning, noon, and night. And each time they do, the disruptive horn blows, interrupting their lives and affecting the quality of their neighborhoods.
Well, we would like to see San Marco declared a quiet zone, the whole district. It would be, a quality of life issue for the whole district. And there's about 10 crossings involved. And we've set up a website. It's quietzonejax.com. And there's a petition that's linked to it, and more than 250 people have signed it. And we're hoping that the city will come through as this JTA project to upgrade the rails, if that positions us to have a quiet zone with the improvements.
That's a section of rail line that contains one or more consecutive public crossings at which locomotive horns are not routinely sounded. Newly elected Councilwoman Leanna Cumber, herself a San Marco resident, represents the city's 5th district and has a background in transportation and infrastructure. She knows all too well how disruptive these horns can be. She's not opposed to getting something done on the state and federal level to remedy the problem.
There are things that need to be done to show the FRA, Federal Railroad Administration, that a quiet zone is necessary and that it's tenable. There are certain things that they have to do to create crossings that can be quiet zone compatible.
A quiet zone is something Michael Haley says he also supports, adding that he's had just about enough of these train horns in his neighborhood.
If we're hanging out in the backyard, there's just times where you have to just wait and you can't talk until the train goes by. But the biggest part you notice is when you're trying to sleep, and in particular the 4:30 a.m. Train. There's some conductor at that hour comes by laying on its horn, and everybody in the neighborhood talks about that guy. And I've levitated off my bed sometimes because he's right outside my window.
Oh, and look, we have a train.
Councilwoman Cumber says getting the quiet zone designation is something she feels will happen. But until then, she says, stay patient. In San Marco, Karen Adams, JTA Making Moves.
Still to come on Making Moves, JTA's final First Coast Flyer line gets funded. We'll tell you where it will go and when it will open. And JTA adds a new community program to its growing list of outreach projects. Stay tuned.
Problems. the ones most people don't want to think about. The ones no one talks about at cocktail parties. The ones that can't be solved overnight. We go looking for them. In unforgiving neighborhoods, in struggling communities, in seemingly docile suburbs throughout the 5-county region, we find every dollar we can to solve them. But we are more than fundraisers. We are hand raisers and game changers. The stop talking and start doing, band together and take on the impossible taskmasters. United, we fight student challenges in the classrooms of Duval County. United, we help families make ends meet in Springfield. We provide access to basic needs at the beaches and beyond. We connect individuals to critical health resources across Northeast Florida. We match volunteers' purpose with passion. No matter the obstacles, no matter the odds, we surround Northeast Florida's most critical problems, and we fight. We fight for Jaden. We fight for Kimberly. We fight for Jessica, for Jeff, for Debbie, for the Kyles, for Mickey, for Carl, for the Brants. We fight for those who need a voice and for those whose names we don't even know. At United Way, we fight for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in Northeast Florida. Because change doesn't happen alone. Hope isn't a one-man band. There's no such thing as self-taught or self-made. We have one life. To live better, we must live united.
You're watching Making Moves, the most honored public transportation news and information program in the country.
The U.S. Department of Transportation recently announced JTA will receive $16.6 million through a capital investment grant. That grant, along with $8.3 million from the Florida Department of Transportation and a matching grant from JTA, will go to the construction of the First Coast Flyer Orange Line, the fourth and final phase of the authority's 57-mile bus rapid transit system. The Orange Line corridor will run from JTA's new Regional Transportation Center in La Villa to the Orange Park Mall. Like the previous Flyer lines, the nearly 13-mile Orange Line comes more frequently and will make fewer stops than regular city buses. Currently, more than 40,000 people live near the Orange Line corridor. Over the next 15 years, the number is expected to grow by more than 20,000. The First Coast Flyer is already the largest bus rapid transit system in the southeastern U.S. JTA will launch the Orange Line in December of 2020. With its warm weather and no state income tax, Florida has long been an attractive place to live. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, that sentiment is only increasing. The Sunshine State's population continues to grow, and Jacksonville is leading the way. Between July 2017 and July 2018, Jacksonville's population increased by more than 12,000 people, making it the fastest growing city in Florida. The 2018 population was just under 904,000, and here is a look at the list. Miami saw the second fastest growth, with Tampa coming in third. Tampa's population increase was just barely half the growth we saw here in Jacksonville, with 6,300 new people. Meanwhile, Orlando finished sixth with less than 4,600 new residents. Cities like St. Petersburg, Clearwater, and Naples all failed to crack the top 10 fastest growing cities in Florida. 2 years ago, Hurricane Irma dumped massive amounts of rain on Jacksonville and flooded downtown and other nearby neighborhoods. JTA shifted into evacuation mode and transported hundreds of people to shelters as the storm pounded the area. With this year's hurricane season now in full swing, JTA is hoping for the best for Jacksonville, but is preparing for the worst that Mother Nature has to offer.
During any impending storm, JTA officials take their cues from the City of Jacksonville's Emergency Operations Center. Critical and often life-saving decisions must be made quickly. For the authority, there are three main components: the safety of its employees, its customers, and protecting its assets, the hundreds of buses and other vehicles.
Once the JTA is notified from the EOC, of a hurricane that may be approaching the Jacksonville area, we protect our assets by moving most of our vehicles out into higher ground, say for instance out at Cecil Field.
In some cases, the St. Johns River Ferry must also be moved, and that presents its own set of problems.
For instance, the ferry, we have to move it upstream to Green Cove Springs, but we have to coordinate with the railroad because the tracks that crosses the St. Johns River under the Fuller Warren Bridge is stored in the down section. Once it's down, we can't get the ferry past that point, so we have to coordinate and move the ferry prior to them lowering the railroad tracks to the down position.
The likelihood of evacuations is always a possibility. JTA then takes on the responsibility of getting stranded citizens to shelters or another designated safe place.
We get together with our partners at the beaches to go over their evacuation plans, Jacksonville Beach, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, and we come up with a plan to evacuate those who want to be evacuated across the bridges. This is done partly because once the wind speed reaches 40 miles per hour sustained, we cannot have any bus activity going over the bridge because it's too dangerous.
And while JTA employees are busy ensuring the public is in a safe location to ride out the storm, at the same time, they must also consider preparing their own homes and families for possible destruction.
The other aspect is that we prepare JTA employees from the operations and maintenance side to prepare their families personally in the event that they're called upon to participate in evacuations to and from shelters. The maintenance has to have a plan to fuel our vehicles in the event that we lose power.
And before that next storm arrives, consider this advice.
Know what you need to know to prepare for hurricane season.
In downtown, Bill Milnes, JTA Making Moves.
JTA kicks off its 25th season with the Jacksonville Jaguars by welcoming a new sponsor to its Game Day Express service. National burger chain Whataburger has signed on as the new sponsor of the popular stadium shuttle service. Each year, the Game Day Express transports about 100,000 fans to the stadium for Jaguars, Florida, Georgia, and the Gator Bowl from its 5 convenient locations. Whataburger operates 8 restaurants in Northeast Florida, including one across from JTA's Game Day Express lot at Phillips Highway and JTB. You can also pick up the Game Day Express at 2 downtown locations, the Convention Center and the Kings Avenue Garage in San Marco. Pickups are also available at the beaches and at the Armsdale Park and Ride lot just south of the airport. Ticket prices for Game Day Express will remain the same if you are using the My JTA mobile app. With the app, single game prices are $8 for downtown lots and $13 for suburban lots, same as last year. If you're paying with cash or credit, the cost is $1 more. Season tickets for downtown lots will be $55 with the app and $60 for cash or credit. Season passes at suburban lots are $90 with the mobile app or $100 for cash or credit. The My JTA app is free and available in your phone's app store. For more information on the Game Day Express, just visit JTA's website at jtafla.com. JTA's community outreach program, JTA Cares, hit another milestone recently when it opened another career closet, this one for men.
2, 3. There you go. All right.
The new career closet opened in the Sulzbacher Center on Adams Street downtown. The closet was stocked full of men's clothing items, including suits, slacks, shirts, and shoes to help men get needed apparel to wear for job interviews or get started in a new career opportunity. JTA CEO Nat Ford praised his team for their outstanding contributions to our community through that JTA Cares initiative.
The commitment from the JTA team, when I look across the room in their shirts and see the folks that have dedicated themselves to serving this community beyond their daily responsibilities. So they're going above and beyond their daily responsibilities at the JTA to volunteer to make these types of activities happen. Be it the work that we do when our neighboring communities have issues with hurricanes.
Sulzbacher Center CEO Cindy Funkhauser says it's partnerships like the one with JTA that keep our community moving forward and help the people that need it the most.
His team has been so incredible and has really just taken Sulzbacher under their wing and said, we're going to support you in any way we can. They've actually offered our folks jobs as bus drivers, as customer service. So this partnership goes way beyond just a career closet.
A lot of times, a lot of people don't have clothes, so in order to kind of like take the stress off of them, you try to give, donate as much as you can, but clothes really tells your outer self, and it brings a lot of character within the person that you really are.
The JTA Career Closet for Men is just one of many programs under the JTA Cares banner. In the past year, the authority has provided Thanksgiving baskets to needy families, sent care packages to military members overseas, and collected food and other supplies for tornado and hurricane victims in the Florida Panhandle. A national transportation organization honors JTA CEO Nat Ford for his leadership. We'll have those details when we come back.
Riding JTA has never been easier than with the My JTA app. Now you can pay for your next bus or ferry ride right from your phone. Just download the free My JTA app from your phone's app store and you're ready to go. Use the drop-down menu to select your fare and pay by using Visa, MasterCard, or Discover. You can purchase 1, 3, 7, or 31-day bus passes or a single ride on the St. Johns River Ferry. The My JTA app. Transit for a modern world. JTA has a great new way to get you to the beach. The First Coast Flyer Red Line. JTA's latest bus rapid transit line runs between downtown and Jacksonville Beach. You'll love the comfort of our brand new compressed natural gas buses with free Wi-Fi, in-bus video monitors with real-time news and information, and fewer stops. On weekdays, the Flyer runs every 10 minutes during peak hours. JTA's First Coast Flyer Red Line. Make it your new ride to the beach.
Finally, JTA CEO Nat Ford has been honored by the Eno Center for Transportation with its 2019 Eno Thought Leader Award. The Thought Leader Award is for professionals who exhibit leadership and innovative approaches to transportation solutions. Eno selected Ford for his leadership and innovation as the 2017-2018 chairman of the American Public Transportation Association. Ford accepted his award at a special ceremony at the historic A Terminal at the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. And that wraps up this edition of Making Moves. We thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Remember, you can check out past episodes anytime online at JTAFLA.com. You can also find other stories and other exclusive content when you like our Facebook page at facebook.com/JTA Making Moves. I'm Donna Deegan. We hope to see you next time for another edition of Making Moves. Take care, everyone.